Hello Nidorinas and Nidorinos and welcome to Olivine City, where the ever-dominant Olivine are taking on the Cinnabar Flare. Cinnabar Flare are going to start out with Ninetales and Darmanitan in its Unovian form today, whereas the Olivine are going to start out with Bronzong and Aggron. Now let us know in the comments below who you think is going to win today, Olivine or the Cinnabar Flare. Ninetales is going to start out quickest Pokemon on the field at the moment, and it's going to go with a Growl, so it's just not going to go for an offensive type attack. Instead, it's going to lower the stats of both Bronzong and Aggron, lowering their attack stats. Now, the Olivine are a very physical team, so it could be a good start for the Cinnabar Flare, as we get a Core Enforcer coming from Darmanitan. This is going to hit both Aggron and Bronzong, but it's not going to do very much damage. It's not very effective on the Steel types. Aggron has an opportunity to capitalize. Now, Aggron has 180 base defense. It can take a hit, as the gravity on the field does intensify, so any Pokemon with the levitate ability or that's flying will be brought down to the ground. Bronzong throws spikes onto the side of the Cinnabar Flare. So anybody who comes onto the field now for the Cinnabar Flare will take damage from that. But as always, this is a 6-on-6 Metronome battle, and if we hit that 20-minute time limit, we will go into single battle overtime. Now, Ninetales is going to go with the Sticky Web. So any Pokemon now that comes onto the side for the Olivine Ore will be slowed down. Their speed stat will be lowered. But the Olivine Ore, on average, have a very low speed stat of 51.6. Now we get a Wing Attack coming from Darmanitan, targeting Bronzong. Again, not very effective. Aggron. It's going to go with a Meteor Mash. It's going to get that Steel boost. Targeting Ninetales. Very decent hit considering it's not very effective. Cinnabar Flare do have that Fire type advantage over the Steel type Olivine Ore. Bronzong now going with a Glare. It's going to look to paralyze one of the Flare, and it goes for Ninetales. So Ninetales is going to be slowed down, and it may not move at all. Now the Olivine Ore are coming off lose their 7-game winning streak being ended last week. They have something to prove this week, so we'll see how they go. They must be angry. They have an 8-2 record now, as we get a lock on from Darmanitan. Takes aim at Aggron. It will want to go for something big on the next turn. Aggron now goes with a Trick Room, so it's actually going to change. The quickest Pokemon is going to now be the slowest, and the slowest Pokemon is now going to be the quickest. So now Bronzong is going to go. It will be the quickest on the next turn as well. Bronzong goes with a Play Rough, targeting Ninetales. It's not going to do a great deal of damage, but not very effective. Now Ninetales with an opportunity to respond. It's going to go with an Absorb. And it does respond to Bronzong, but that does barely anything. Almost no damage whatsoever. But Ninetales does get a little bit of health back. Now the Cinnabar Flare are sitting 8th on the ladder. They are just within the top 8 as we are now in the last half of the season. They want to win today. They definitely want that win to try and get themselves safer in the top 8. Even potentially get up to the top 4 as we get closer to the end of the season. The Confide from Bronzong to Darmanitan lowers its special attack. Ninetales shakes off that paralysis again, this time going with a Snipe Shot. It's going to go for Aggron, and a massive hit. Super effective, but Aggron holds on. Barely. But if it takes another hit, it could be eliminated. We're going to get a Parabolic Charge from Aggron. This is going to hit everybody on the field, so it can restore a little bit of health from everybody it hits. Thankfully, it didn't do too much damage to Bronzong, as Aggron just takes a little bit from every Pokemon on the field. Aggron does get itself back up into the yellow here. Darmanitan now needs to take advantage of that amazing 140 base attack stat. It goes with a Strength, so it will go for a physical move, but it won't be very effective on Aggron, barely leaving a mark. I think even if Aggron hadn't restored its health, it still would have survived that hit. Now the Trick Room's still up, so Bronzong is still the quickest Pokemon on the field thanks to that Trick Room, and it's going to go with a Dragon Breath. Bronzong continuing to target Ninetales. Ninetales finally being taken down into the yellow. And Ninetales continues to shake off that paralysis, as it now goes with a Crab Hammer. It's going to target Aggron, and this will finish the Steel Pokemon off. Aggron has been eliminated with that super effective move. So Aggron, even with its amazing defense, has been eliminated. It's a brilliant start for the Cinnabar Flare, as the Darmanitan goes with a Laser Focus. So this time it's going to concentrate intensely, and you'll have to think maybe it'll want to go after Bronzong. But a Scavalier now comes onto the field for the Olivine Ore. Scavalier's speed is lowered thanks to that Sticky Web. Not that a Scavalier really has any speed as it is. Its speed stat is only 20. It is one of the 2 slowest Pokemon on Olivine Ore, along with Ferrothorn, both only having 20 speed. We get a Dragon Dance now coming from Escavalier. It's going to boost its attack and speed. It has an amazing attack stat of 135. It's also got impressive defense and defenses of 105 each. Ninetales now, after preventing that move from the Flash Fire, goes with an Infestation. I don't see this doing too much to start with, as it does very minimal damage to Escavalier. But Escavalier will continue to take damage from that Infestation between turns. Aura Sphere now, coming from Darmanitan. This could be super effective depending on who it hits. And it goes for Bronzong. Thankfully for Bronzong, its Psychic typing prevents it from being a super effective hit. Or even though that was a critical hit as well, so it took Bronzong down into the yellow. As you have Escavalier taking damage from that Infestation. That Trick Room's still going, so Escavalier is still the quickest on the field and goes with a Withdraw, so it's going to boost its base defense stat. Sorry, its physical defense stat. Bronzong now, so the speed advantage is on the side of the Olivine Ore thanks to that Trick Room. It's going to go with a Sludge Bomb. This time going for Darmanitan, and a very good hit, taking Darmanitan into the yellow and leaving it with a poison condition, so Darmanitan will be taking damage in between turns from that poisoning. Ice Fang now, coming from Ninetales. Again, continuing to shake off that paralysis and chips away at Bronzong with that not very effective move. Darmanitan now. Gonna go with the Imprison. So this will stop any Pokemon who share the same move as Darmanitan. As Darmanitan takes that poisoning damage, which means Bronzong and Escavalier won't be able to do their Metronome due to them all sharing that one move. So Bronzong and Escavalier will now be struggling in between turns, so they're going to take some recoil damage as they do that. And that Trick Room's worn off, so now Darmanitan's the fastest Pokemon on the field, and it's going to go with a Metal Burst, but it does fail. Ninetales now with its opportunity. Goes with a Sword Dance, so it's going to boost its attack stats. Now where Ninetales shines is with its special defense of 100 and speed stat of 100, but it does, as I said, boost that attack stat. Bronzong goes with a struggle onto Darmanitan, taking it down into the red, but Bronzong's recoil damage takes it down into the red as well. Escavalier with its struggle targeting Darmanitan, and it will finish off the Pokemon. So Darmanitan has been eliminated from this battle. Escavalier gets that recoil damage and then also gets hurt by that Infestation. As we are now down to 5 Pokemon aside, both teams only having lost 1 Pokemon so far. It's Colossal coming out for the Cinnabar Flare, the Rock Fire type Pokemon. Now Colossal, where it shines is in its defense stat. It has 120 physical defense. It's also got 110 HP, and Ninetales finally is unable to shake off its paralysis. It's still the quickest Pokemon on the field, even though it's paralyzed, because Bronzong only has that 33 base speed. Colossal has 30, and as I mentioned earlier, Escavalier only has 20. They are very slow Pokemon on the field. Now Colossal goes with a Parabolic Charge. We did see this earlier. And it will finish Bronzong off, which is fantastic for the Cinnabar Flare, taking back the lead. As Colossal does restore a little bit of health from all the Pokemon on the field. So Colossal's back at 100% and Bronzong has been eliminated. It's a very close matchup so far. We're almost 10 minutes in and only 3 Pokemon have been eliminated as we get an Earth Power from Escavalier. Targeting Ninetales, this will be super effective and it'll finish off Ninetales. So it is now all tied up again. So now have the Cantonian's Fire Starter Charizard coming out for the Cinnabar Flare. And Duraludon, the Galarian Pokemon, coming out for the Olivine Ore. Now Duraludon is a Steel Dragon type. Charizard is not a dragon, although it looks very much like a dragon, and I've said it before, it is a Fire Flying type. It does have a Mega Evolution though that makes it a Dragon Fire type. As we see a Guillotine coming from Charizard, but Escavalier does avoid that one-hit KO move. Horn Leech being performed now by Duraludon. Targeting Colossal. Does a lot more damage than I would have expected. Still doesn't do a great deal, but Duraludon's able to restore a little bit of health. Aurora Beam now coming from Colossal. Targeting Escavalier. And Escavalier is still holding on. Gets taken down into the red with that not very effective move, but it was a critical hit. Escavalier with its opportunity to respond, and it's going to go with a Mud Slap. Targeting Charizard. And it's super effective, so that Levitate must still be in effect on the battlefield, surely. Because otherwise, that Mud Slap should not have hit Charizard, as with its flying type in it, it's immune to ground type attacks. Charizard now is going to go with a Fell Stinger, targeting Duraludon. Very minimal damage there to the Steel Dragon. Duraludon with its opportunity to respond, and Duraludon has that 85 base speed. Goes with the Ice Punch. Targeting Charizard, taking advantage of its flying type, and Charizard's taken down into the yellow. Get a Horn attack now, coming from Colossal. Again, not very effective on the Steel types. Duraludon takes that hit very well. Get a Leaf Tornado coming from a Escavalier. And they continue to target Charizard, that move barely leaving a mark on the Fire Flying type, but Charizard's accuracy will be lowered. Now, as always, in our description below, we do have a link to our Instagram page where you can get regular ladder and fixture updates, as well as our match of the week. Charizard goes with the Fairy Lock, so it doesn't go for an offensive move. Instead, no one will be able to run away during the next turn, but you cannot run away from an Elite Challenge League match. Now Duraludon goes with the Sky Attack. We'll see this take effect on the next turn, as it is a 2-turn move. Colossal now goes with the Stuffed Cheeks. So it's just going to eat its Leopard Berry now. It's going to boost its defense in the process. As I said, its defense is 120 and does get a very sharp boost there. Escavalier now has that those 105 defenses and special defenses. Goes with the Torment. And it targets Colossal. So Colossal won't be able to use its Metronome now. Colossal will be going with the struggle and getting that recoil damage. Charizard needs to take advantage of its 109 special attack. It does have that 100 base speed as well, the same speed as Ninetales. And it goes with the Psych Up. Duraludon's Sky Attack now is going to take effect. Targeting Colossal. Not very effective though, thanks to that rock timing. But Colossal is flinched, so Colossal isn't going to get a turn out a move out this turn. Sorry, as the Escavalier goes with a Defend Order, so it's going to boost its defense stats. As I already said, it's very impressive defense stats. Speaking of impressive defense stats, as that gravity finally returns to normal, so Charizard is back to being immune to ground type attacks. Duraludon has 115 physical defense, as well as 120 special attack. See if we can take advantage of that special attack now after avoiding that move from Charizard, and goes with a Power Split. So it's not going to go for an offensive type attack. So it shares its power with Colossal. Colossal has an opportunity to take advantage. And it's going to go with the Prismatic Laser. This is going to cause it to recharge on the next turn, but see what damage it can do now. Targeting Escavalier, and it finishes Escavalier off. So Escavalier has been eliminated. There's 3 Pokemon down now for the Olivine, and we have 2 down for the Cinnabar Flare, as Kling Clang comes onto the field for the Olivine. Kling Clang comes on very physical, 100 physical attack stat and 115 physical defense. Again, the Olivine are a very physical side, as we get a Pollen Puff from Charizard targeting Duraludon. Not very effective. It actually did more damage than I would have expected. Kling Clang now goes with a Volt Switch, so it's going to hit its target and then go back to the bench and goes for Colossal. You have to think it would have been better going for Charizard, as it would have been super effective on the flying typing. The last Pokemon for the Olivine comes out, and it's Copperajah. Copperajah, huge 130 physical attack stat, but it's also got that 122 HP stat. That can be very helpful, as we get a Double Edge now coming from Duraludon. Targets Colossal. Finally getting Colossal down into the yellow, but only just, doing very minimal damage as Duraludon gets that recoil damage and Colossal has to recharge. Now Charizard goes with a Topsy-Turvy, so again not going for a physical move. Targeting Copperajah there. Copperajah's stat changes were all reversed, but there's been no stat changes to Copperajah yet. Now we get a bounce coming from Copperajah, so Copperajah springs up into the air. We'll see this move take effect in the next turn, but you have to think Colossal needs to target Duraludon. Duraludon now going with the Air Cutter. Going to hit both Charizard and Colossal. Both of them now in the yellow. They've been there for a little bit. As Colossal goes with a struggle, but Copperajah avoids the attack. And so Colossal doesn't get any recoil damage, thankfully, for the Cinnabar Flare. Charizard needs to target Duraludon. Goes with the Fell Stinger, but this time goes for Copperajah. And there's that bounce hitting Colossal. Not very effective, so very minor damage being done there. Duraludon goes with the Super Fang, but Colossal avoids that attack. That would have instantly halved Colossal's remaining health. As we get an Aurora Beam coming from Colossal, targets Copperaja. Not very effective attack. You have to think it would have been at least better to target Duraludon, take advantage of that Dragon typing that it has. But we're now passing that 15-minute mark. We're getting ever closer to the 3-minute warning and what could potentially be an overtime match with these two teams. They're not going for anything too drastic yet. Copperaja goes with the Snipe Shot. Speaking of drastic moves, this will be super effective. And it goes for Colossal. Massive damage. Colossal has been eliminated with that super effective hit. Taking advantage of Colossal's dual weakness, being a Rock Fire type. Extra damage being done from Water type moves as we get a Feather Dance now coming from Duraludon. That Feather Dance targeting Charizard, lowering its attack stat. We're going to get the 5th Pokemon now, coming out for the Cinnabar Flare. And it's Arcanine. Arcanine, who had an amazing start to this season, is hurt by the spikes coming onto the field. Has that Intimidate ability, so it'll lower the attack stats of Duraludon and Copperaja. But Arcanine had an amazing start to the season this year. I think it was in the first 3 games. It was getting knockouts in each match. It needs to get back to that kind of form as it seems to have slowed down as the season has gone on. Charizard goes with a payback. Targeting Duraludon, gets it down into the yellow. Now Arcanine has that 95 speed, so it's second quickest on the field. Goes with the Scary Face, but it shines in its attack stats. Has 110 physical attack, 100 special attack. But it does lower Duraludon's speed with that move. Now we get a court change coming from the Olivine Ore, which actually may not help the Olivine Ore, as they now have the spikes. The Sticky Web is now on the side of the Cinnabar Flare as that 3-minute warning comes up on the screen. So we have our 3-minute warning. Duraludon goes with a Horn Attack into Charizard, taking it down into the red. The Olivine Ore need to capitalize and get another elimination, especially as we get closer to the overtime. It is 3 versus 3 at the moment. Charizard goes with the Flatter, so again, not going for physical type moves. This is going to boost the special attack of Copperaja, but it's going to leave it confused in the process. Arcanine has its opportunity. If they can get some fire type moves off, goes with the Supersonic, but Copperaja's already confused instead of targeting Duraludon. So Copperaja hits itself in its confusion, unable to shake it off. Duraludon now. It's going to go with the Scale Shot. It's going to get that stab boost. Being a Dragon type, hits Arcanine once. It's a multi-hit move, gets twice as we get our 2-minute warning. Gets 3, only hits 3 times. Duraludon also in the process does lower its defense, but boosts that speed, which has been lowered numerous times so far in this battle. As always, in the description below, we also have a link to our Google Doc, which contains the ladder, fixture stats, and all of the team rosters. And we get a Wild Charge coming from Charizard. Targeting Duraludon doesn't do a great deal of damage, but not very effective. But Charizard gets that recoil damage as well, but it's still hanging in there. Heat Wave now coming from Arcanine. This will be super effective on the Steel types. And a huge hit. It's super effective on Copperaja, and it eliminates Duraludon. Copperaja is just hanging in there, but it's got that confusion still. It needs to shake it off. But it doesn't. It hits itself. Copperaja is eliminated. That means there's only one Pokemon now remaining for the Olivine Ore, and it's Klinklang, who will be coming out back onto the field. Now Klinklang takes damage from those spikes as we are down into our last minute. The countdown clock is on screen. We have 51 seconds remaining. The speed advantage is on the side of the Cinnabar Flare. They need to capitalize, but Charizard goes with a bulk up, so it's not going for an offensive type attack. We should be able to get at least one more turn in after this current turn, as that timer still goes down. It's at 35 now. Arcanine is going to go with an Aromatic Mist, so again, they're not going for the offensive moves. If we're going to overtime, everybody will get points. So you want those full 4 points on the ladder. We have 21 seconds left. Klinklang goes with Spite. Klinklang wants it to go into overtime. Try and give itself a better chance of going one-on-one. We're going to get at least one last turn, but it looks like we're going to go into overtime. We have 7 seconds left. We will get this last turn in. We'll see what happens. 2, 1. It's Luster Purge from Charizard as we hit that 0. So these are the last moves that will happen. A good hit on Klinklang with that not very effective attack. It was a critical hit. Arcanine needs to go for something offensive here. The Olivine have surprisingly done very well. Like, they're hanging in, but this is not the kind of domination we're used to seeing. And we see a Facade now from Arcanine, but it only gets Klinklang down into the yellow. So you have to think, because there's still one Pokemon we don't know who it is on the Cinnabar Flare. Klinklang goes with an Acid Spray, and it only gets Arcanine down into the yellow, which means Arcanine and Charizard and whoever's left will be going into overtime for the Flare, and we have Klinklang going in for the Ore. But Nidorinos, welcome to overtime. As I was saying, you have Klinklang left for the Olivine, and it's Charizard coming out for the Cinnabar Flare. It is now a single battle, 1v1. This gives Klinklang a chance to chip away at the Cinnabar Flare. But also the Cinnabar Flare have 3 Pokemon. We don't even know who the last Pokemon is for them remaining. No matter what though, everybody gets points. If you lose, you'll get 1 point on the ladder. And if you win, you only get 3 points. That's why you don't want to go into overtime. You want those full 4 points, but we're going to get a double kick coming from Klinklang. Gets that first hit in. It's not going to be very effective on the Fire Flying type. But this is not the usual domination we've seen from the Olivine. They must be rattled from last week's matchup against the Spikeman Devils. Charizard now goes with the withdrawal, so it's going to boost its defenses. Klinklang has an opportunity to capitalize here. And it's going to go with the topsy-turvy, so it doesn't go for an offensive type attack. Instead, what it's going to do, as we mentioned before, is it's going to reverse all the stat changes that Charizard has had. So it's just lowered Charizard's defense after it did that withdrawal. Charizard now is going to go with a Luster Purge, which we just saw in the previous battle. Or in the earlier part of the battle in regulation time. But again, it's not very effective on Klinklang, and this time it doesn't get the critical hit either. Klinklang is going to go with a double edge. It's going to get that recoil damage. But a huge hit on the Charizard, taking it all the way down in the red. That recoil damage was very powerful to Klinklang. But this could be what Klinklang needs just to get Charizard where it needs to eliminate it. Charizard now goes with a Volt Tackle. Charizard's going to get some recoil damage. But that'll take Klinklang down into the red as Charizard is just hanging in there. Klinklang could eliminate it here. Klinklang goes with a Stun Spore though, so this could leave Charizard paralyzed and potentially moving slower than Klinklang. Klinklang does have that speed stat of 90. It's Klinklang's opportunity now. It goes for the entrainment though, so it's not going for an offensive type attack. Instead, Charizard's Blaze ability will become the clearer body, so its stats won't be able to be lowered by the opposing Pokemon. Charizard is going to go with a takedown. This will get more recoil damage. Very minor attack to Klinklang, who hangs on, but Charizard is eliminated. So Charizard has done damage to Klinklang, but taken itself out in the process. But this could set up Arcanine fantastically to eliminate Klinklang. Arcanine has that Intimidate, but again, that clear body prevents its stats from being lowered. Arcanine should have the speed advantage on the field now. And it does. So this is its opportunity. And it's going to go with a Tackle. This won't be very effective, but it could get the job done. And it does. Klinklang has been eliminated. Arcanine has gotten its team the win in overtime. So the Cinnabar Flare have beaten the Olivine, who have lost for the 2nd week in a row. That is only their 3rd loss of the season. Their confidence must be rattled after those 2 losses. But it was a very hard-fought performance. Very methodical, very slow paced, but both teams just gradually chipping away at each other. Unfortunately for the Olivine, they get their 2nd loss in a row. They're going to want to bounce back from this next week when they host the Saffron Psychics, who are currently around the bottom of the ladder. So Olivine do not want to lose to a team so low down, because that will just shake them even more, especially as we're in the last half of the season now. That is not what they need. They want that top spot heading into the finals. Whereas the Cinnabar Flare get a much needed victory to try and work themselves back up higher into there, potentially into the top 4. And next week, they're going to be facing the Spikeman Devils, who are the other team that beat the Olivine. They beat them last week in a very dominant showing. So it'll be a very good matchup. I'm looking forward to seeing the Cinnabar Flare face the Spikeman Devils next week. See which of those two teams can come out stronger. But that was a fantastic showing. Both teams just chipping away at each other so gradual. Amazingly, we still didn't even find out who the last Pokemon on the Cinnabar Flare was, so it was a great showing by them. But that takedown from Charizard, being willing to sacrifice itself, just to have Klinklang closer to elimination than Arcanine. With that tackle, a very basic move. Most starter Pokemon know it. Unbelievable. But Nidorinos, thank you so much for watching. Let us know in the comments below who you thought was the best on field. And if you like what you saw, leave a like, share, subscribe. But always remember, you are awesome, and I will speak to you next time.